I do stuff like this, I just think to myself, and that was the moment it all went wrong. Hi guys, welcome back. No. Hi, and welcome to an episode of Liz Bakes for You. Today is my project bake, which involves me taking on some technique I've never done or taking a really long time to make a very small amount of something that I could easily buy at a store for much less money. Today that recipe is croissants. Now, because I'm not truly a professional, today was actually yesterday when I started this. So you're gonna be like, where did you get those croissants from? These are the ones I made, and you can tell that by the fact that some of them have been through a journey. I have also been through a journey. This recipe takes a very long time, and it takes you being present for many hours while you wait for an hour and fold. And it also involved us moving this table all around the kitchen to try and avoid the shadows and the light, which didn't fully work. So it is, if nothing else, a bready adventure that you all can come on with us, and at the very end you can, like I said, probably go to Costco and get 20 of these for, I don't know, probably $6. If you want one of these croissants, they will be $100, and you will have to be in Portland within the next 3 minutes to get one. So, let's get started. See how it goes. I know how it goes. It goes bad. I wanted to start by reading what the New York Times has deemed the most helpful review on this recipe for you all. And we can just decide right now if we are similar. Like if your reaction to this is the same as my reaction, we could probably get along. All right. I have done this several times. If you love labor and practice it, the result is very good, but never as good as Paris. Believe me, I have tried. However, there, THEIR, is a faster recipe, and it takes less than 24 hours. Most of it is leisure time. Book a round-trip flight to Paris. On arrival, take an Uber to Maison Bouchard, 88 Rue Chambon. Buy a dozen or more. Eat several in a nice cafe. Return to airport. Enjoy the flight home, and you will be home in under 24 hours with something truly wonderful. Negating the review that Lance provided, there is actually an accompanying article to this recipe that is helpful, and it talks about what types of ingredients to use. Claire suggests this King Arthur brand all-purpose flour, and the main reason being it has this 11.7% protein content, which is a pretty high protein content for an all-purpose flour. And it also has a little bit of malted barley flour, I think is what she said, which is what like regular professionals who make croissants all the time add to make their croissants be more flavorful. So today we're going to mix the dough, we're going to make the butter block, and then we're going to begin folding the croissants. Tomorrow we're going to, I believe, more folds, and then cutting, rolling, egg washing, baking, all that sort of stuff. At each step, it could be messed up, and there are so many steps that at the very end you may have something that doesn't resemble croissants at all. Now, this was an unintentional experiment. I don't want to get into a 2-day baking process without making sure that the yeast that I'm using is working, because man, that would just be like very disappointing. And so I wanted to prove the yeast first separately. And so I took a 1/4 cup of milk and 7 grams of yeast, and then I put it in this bowl, and I waited about 20 minutes, and it did this, which is nothing. And then I decided that I didn't trust, so I did this one. And as you can see, look at those little bubbles. This one is so happy, it's ready to go in. I need to look back at the recipe for the 80th time to see what I'm like looking for as far as once this mixes, what like consistency means it's ready. Don't put your hand on the moving mixer. It's like you can give a lot of time indications when it comes to yeast-raised stuff, but it's never going to be as accurate as just using visual cues. So this is what I have. It's definitely a tight dough. I don't think it's mixed as much as it needs to get the gluten activated, but that's not really the point of that mix because we're going to add this butter and mix it for another 8 to 10 minutes. So at that point, it'll definitely have more than enough kneading. This towel is very dirty, so I don't really want to use that. So I'm going to use some paper towel and we're going to hope that works. But why do you dampen the towel? Moisture. You always want a little bit of humidity around doughs when you're working with them. Okay. So we're going to put this over the top of this and we're going to let this sit for 10 minutes. I'm going to set a timer this time. It has been 10 minutes. I set a timer this time. So we're going to unveil our little dough. It looks identical to what we put in there. We're going to continue mixing this. Sorry. I have a tendency to pick things up as I'm talking and moving and doing stuff, and I believe that's anxiety, so I'm going to try and be a little bit slower. It's like when you take speech classes to speak slower, because when you're like a nervous speaker, you usually like talk really fast and mumble, and I do all those things. Let's add butter. It says to add this all at once. Now, I don't have a lot of faith in this step in particular, because it says to have the butter chilled. And usually you want butter at room temperature when you're mixing it into a dough. However, now that I've seen how dense the dough ball itself is, this could work. We'll see. I'm assuming it works. Other people have tried this. So here we go, 8 to 10 minutes.
Yes, it's slapping away.
So let's just scrape it down a couple times. I haven't done that at all. Oh my god. This is like... Jesus. Get off here. This is very smooth ball. So this doesn't look super smooth to me yet, so I'm going to mix it a little bit longer. I think that's due to the fact that my mixer isn't quite big enough. I would say a 6-quart mixer would be better for this. I'm just going to mix it for like 1 more minute. See? We formed it into a ball, lightly floured surface, seam side down. Next, we're going to use my teeny tiny knife. I love this knife. And it says to make a plus sign, so how 2 deep slashes. How big of a plus sign though? Like, am I like graphing something or am I just adding something? Maybe it's like, that's very, this is my plus sign. And it then says, place the dough slash side up inside the same mixing bowl. All right. This is not going to come off. Slash side up. Boop. That's my drawer of shame. I hid all the things on the countertop in there so it would appear like we have a pristine countertop, except for our very cute fellow kettle. We have this covered in plastic wrap. We have it cut, ready to go. It just needs to sit for 45 minutes to an hour to rise. And I'm going to put it right here. We are on step 4 of a 24-step process. It's going great. Everything has gone relatively well so far. I have said okay and all right, probably more than 24 times. While we let the dough back here rest and become 1.5 times its original size, it says to make your butter block. We need 3 sticks of butter, and if you're anything like me, when you come to the Pacific Northwest, you wonder why they make their butter look so funny. They make these little squat sticks of butter Because apparently there would be like chaos if they made all the butter like they do on the East Coast. Or like imagine if you went to Publix and got this. Who would be like, I don't know what to do with that. We're back again with the If You Care parchment paper. Turns out, I'm getting way better, but I think it has to do with like just being a little bit more patient with it. Give me metal. I want to accidentally cut my finger every now and again because I'm rushing to cut my parchment paper. One of the notes in the recipe about the butter is something with like 82% fat content. And here I was thinking butter was just like 100% fat content. So I don't know, do your butter research. I don't know how much fat is in this butter. But it does say it's grade AA, so that can't be bad. As far as making croissants go, I really would prefer to have my East Coast butter because these are so stumpy and you have to, I'm assuming I'm gonna have to beat them a lot more than I would because they're hard little sticks of butter. And they're not even sticks. What do we call this a stick? It's almost a cube. These people are crazy. Can you imagine cube butter? Actually, that would be kind of cute. I don't know if I made this big enough. Okay. So it's to fold it and then flip it over.
Just fold it.
I'm trying. This is hard, okay? But I am curious, why can't you just use room temperature butter, spread it out into like, why can't you just do that? And then it'll be cold again. Does that mess up the butter? If that does, this butter did come to room temperature, and then I was like, oh, I didn't make croissants with this, so I put it back in the fridge. So we might have a problem, but I know this isn't a square, but it is a packet. I don't foresee this going like I want it to. It's gonna take forever. Okay, so I'm cheating. That's what you're seeing here. These chubby little sticks of butter were never going to give in to me. Try and make this into a square. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, look at that. Cheat code. Anytime I do stuff like this, I just think to myself, and that was the moment it all went wrong. I don't trust the table. All right, butter got the initial beat down, and now wow. I'm feeling really good about this accomplishment of being able to get this parchment paper. I'm wondering how thin this should be. It's at a 1/2 inch, but this does not look good. This is pretty flat from beating it. Now I'm just going to use the rolling pin to sort of, well, to roll it, but to work the butter into these corners to create those sharp edges, and also to flatten it because you want this as like, you want the whole thing to be the same thickness as much as you possibly can. And this is why you put the seam side down, because as you can see, this is holding its shape pretty nicely, this square of parchment. And by far, this is one of the more fulfilling things that Claire has taught me, is when she wraps things up and then she rolls them and they go perfectly into the corners. Ooh. That's what they call good juice. The good brain juice. This is my butter block. It's pretty thin, and I don't think it's exactly as like perfectly square. I think it should be maybe a little bit thinner this, or a little bit shorter this way. However, pretty good. I'm gonna put it in the fridge. Welcome back. We have returned to our dough. We have moved up the table a bit because if I get anywhere back here, I I get fun shadows all over my face. So, here we are. Closer yet still just as far away. Now, I read these instructions a few times because I know what the word perpendicular means, but it's really hard to read the word, put your plastic wrap perpendicular, like read that sentence and understand what that means. So I tried to see if there was a helpful photo, and there was not. So I'm just assuming I'm making a plus sign here, and I'm going to put this dough in here. I wish I had the more expensive plastic wrap now. Okay. I'm expecting chaos to unfold right now, because you know how plastic wrap is. We all know how plastic wrap is. Actually, you know what? Just because it has a little thing on it to cut it, doesn't mean that you have to use it, right? No. Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Nobody breathe. I don't know how to get this out of here. I assume a spatula. Okay. This is what we have available. If you come closer, you can see it a little better, but if we did that cut, you know, the across and the across, and I did it pretty deep, but I think that you want to do it like it says pretty deep because, I'll just hold this steady, because you can see like even when it rises, it still looks kind of circular, but this cut is supposed to help us get it into the square shape we're going for here. It's like puffed up, but it's still pretty firm. Ooh, I think it's just gonna, yeah. Oh. I may have combined two steps. We're supposed to take it out, flatten it, then put it on the plastic. So, deflating with the heel. That's kind of square. That did kind of help. Wow. It feels kind of dry on the top. I wish I would have like put the plastic wrap directly on the top of it in the fridge instead of on top of the bowl, because it seems like a little air got to this part. You can see this side looks, that's the side that was on the bottom. This side looks a little drier. Now that we've deflated the dough and put it back on the plastic wrap, we are going to wrap it up like a little gift. And make sure I think I want to do this. And the goal is to make this no bigger than the butter block. Maybe a great time to use this as my little ruler, huh? All right, that's looking pretty good. Unless we want to put the butter block this way, which... Then we're going to take our rolling pin and just really gently create a nice even layer of dough and roll it out into these corners. And like I said, this is very satisfying because eventually you really just squish it into the little corners. And I don't know about you, but well, it's just kind of fun. This cute little puff of dough needs to go in the freezer for 20 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to put him back in the freezer, or in the freezer, and I'm going to put this guy back in the fridge. We are back with our freezer chilled dough and our refrigerator block of butter. The next step is to unwrap this and maintain 8 inches one direction, but roll it out to 16 the other way because you want it to fold over the butter block. Sometimes it doesn't feel worth it to save plastic wrap. Like, I know that like they're finding like plastic and rain and placentas and animals and food, but why not just throw this out and start again? Don't roll your dough out on an IKEA table propped up on Amazon bed risers. Tune in next week for Liz and Adam get charged for their Airbnb table placement. We'll have 8 beautiful croissants at the end of this.
20 hours.
But we're having fun. That's what matters. I got a little overzealous, so now I gotta squish it back together a bit. Okay. Oh no. This is now 16 inches, so we are ready to fold this all together. The one note that they have in the recipe that's important is that you want the butter to be a little bit pliable and the same temperature as butter or as the dough in the freezer. So that's why you put this in the freezer and this in the fridge, is that hopefully they're about the same temperature when you get to this part, because you want the butter, once you wrap it in the dough, to roll out smoothly. This is always the part that I like. I messed this up in the past, so it may or may not be the reason I literally never made croissants again after that. This goes right in the center of the dough. We're gonna fold this guy in. We're gonna fold this guy in. And I'm having a bit of a problem here because it needs to go all the way up there. So once you get there, just stretch it, and they say to pinch it. All right, so now we have this nice little package, and it's pretty pliable. It did say to brush off all the excess flour before I did that. I didn't do that, and I don't want to undo what I just did. Now we're gonna roll this out to 24 inches. We're going to, oh God, there's a bubble. No, no bubbles allowed. Do I put the seam down? Okay, seam is up. Seam is going up. How long is an iPhone? How many iPhones is 24 inches?
I don't know.
This is looking like 24 inches. Oh no. Okay. I definitely have some breakage in the butter. I can feel it. But not a ton, just a little bit like right here. I really want to like peel it up. I know the thing you really don't want is for the butter to break through this dough, and I don't seem to have that yet. I don't know that I'm gonna have the perfectly beautiful layers, so whatever. Okay, well now that we have this trash, I'm going to try and make it into croissants, hopefully. As you're going through these layers, you want to maintain these 90-degree angles everywhere, because that's how you get the even layers, which I will hopefully still have, even though my butter is all sorts of broken underneath here. 2, 3, not quite 24 inches, it's 22, so let's see what 11 inches is. 11 inches is right about there. So I'm going to fold this to there. Okay. I'll fold this to about right there. Oh God. Alright, now I'm going to fold it here. Ooh, look at my little book. Oh, actually, hold on. Clean side. Alright, so reserved plastic. Look at us go. We're saving the planet. One wrap of plastic at a time. We now have our book. It's rewrapped in the plastic, and we're going to put it in the freezer for 15 minutes and then in the fridge for 1 hour. And by that time, this might be done happening, and we'll probably do another fold. Beat it again. That's right, Frodo. I'm sure that does. I have to be honest, I'm not sure how these are going to turn out. This feels very chunky. This is not what you see in like a beautiful bakery croissant making video. You just see their beautiful, perfect layers of butter. Okay, I think I'm going to trim these again, these edgies. Get a little peekaboo inside this dough. It's not looking good. I should have a pastry brush to brush all this off, but I don't. So here we are. So let's squish this one down. Flip this one over. Line it up. Squish it down too. Now, It's currently 8 p.m. and I'm supposed to do one more of these before I put it back in the fridge to rest overnight. So we might do that without showing you because, I don't know, because I want to get comfy. And right now I have makeup on my face. I want to take it off. So I'm going to put this back in the fridge and we'll be back with you. I guess I do need to come back on though, because I have to show them that I put it in the freezer. Okay. Arrive. Are you gonna arrive? What time is it?
It's 10 p.m.
No, it's not. It's 10 o'clock at night. We started at 10 a.m. If you're planning to start it at 10 a.m. on one day, just be sure you're going to be awake at 10 p.m. to see basically your butter block break into 1 bajillion pieces and just lumpy. Just be ready to roll out your lumpy dough at 10 p.m. and be really excited to wake up in the morning and roll this out one more time to just see what it could possibly become after you're very sure, based on what you're feeling, that whatever it will become will not be what it was supposed to become. Sorry, every single one of these rolls, it just gets uglier. Look at this. The butter's coming through. Ugh. So I believe that I'm supposed to roll this out even thinner than I have. But I'm worried if I keep rolling it. This side looks okay, but the other side you can really see the butter starting to come through, which is not what I want. Again, check for Kingsley hairs. It'll be like a golden ticket. If you get a Kingsley hair, you get to eat another terrible croissant. Oh. We're gonna put this in the fridge, and we are going to hope someone came into my house overnight and redid this better for me in the morning. Well, welcome to day 2. The first thing is that I forgot to do something yesterday, which I thought lying in bed at 12:30 last night, oh, I forgot to do that. I don't want to get up right now and do that. Because the step that I forgot was rolling it out to a 17 by 14 inch rectangle and placing it back in my very tiny fridge. And to be fair to me, I don't think it would have fit in the fridge this way. So what we're doing today is rolling this out to 17 by 14 and then following the rest of the instructions as written. But now, we're gonna this is about moving forward. This is not about making something perfect. It did start as making perfect croissants, but quickly unraveled. We're going for it. Let's see. Okay, well it's way too long. It's 18 inches long. Oopsie. Okay, this is a pretty little square, right? 1 inch short, but that's okay. So we're cutting this into 4, this is 14 this way, so we're cutting 4 pieces this way. So we want to do 4 inches. I'm just going to mark that one. I watched a YouTube video on how to shape croissants, and what a great platform for learning. I'm just going to pop this in the oven. Unfortunately, the video I watched was in Australian, which, is English, but it's like metric system. So I'm just going to start by kind of doing my very best to, I don't want to cut these wrong. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. But looking at this guy's dough in that video, mine doesn't look like that. This looks conspicuously like I know what I'm doing, is what I think I'm pulling off at this exact moment. Which if you watched like the rest of this video, you'll know that that is not true. So like, do we think up here? I still don't really understand this. Trim the short sides of each triangle at a slight angle, making them in a triangle. So like this, you think?
Did that screen the short side to you?
Yeah.
There's not a shorter side? There's a short?
Like this? Why would you cut that way? You would just cut off the whole...
At an angle.
Oh, yep. That makes a lot of sense. Oh my. That's why I have him here. Also to film everything. Grasp the two corners of the shorter end, the base of the crescent, tug gently outward to extend the points and widen the base to about 3 inches. It's wider than 3 inches. These are all cut. Okay. Okay. Starting at the base, the short end. What is the short end? This end, right? That's how you make a croissant? Because, yes, okay. I'm going based off visual cues of croissants that I've seen before. Snugly roll up the dough, keeping the point centered and applying light pressure. Try not to roll tightly or stretch the dough around itself. Place the crescent on one of the parchment-lined baking sheets that I do not have. Okay. I feel like you're supposed to... Ooh, I got a lot of flour on this. Okay, this is the trial croissant. Actually, all of these are the trial croissant. Neat. This is like the most fun part of this, but also the most, like, if you watch someone do this who makes croissants, they're probably just like, that's always what it looks like whenever people who like know how to make the dough thing are like, have you ever watched someone roll out bagels who like makes bagels for a living? You're like, I can do that. Again, I don't have a pastry brush, so maybe let's try this.
There's a lot of flour on there.
Wow, apparently I'm a little heavy-handed on the flour. I'm really hoping to contribute to like the wholesome content on the internet. That feels like a great niche to be in. I didn't really understand there was a whole other part of the internet. Like I knew it was there, but I like didn't know it was there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's just something where I was like astounded that that was like her butthole. On like, I didn't see it, but like, I was astounding to me that like her butthole was on the internet. Pull it. Pulling, slapping. This is like just one of those recipes. It's kind of like donuts and like whole jokes, you know? It says not to stretch it over, but then you also, oh God. Okay, sorry, this needs to be done. I was reading something else that said these are going to triple in size, so I want to make sure there's no space on them for that. Now I do have the lids, like we used in donuts. I'm going to keep an eye on these because I think that these lids might be a little bit short. I think that the croissants might like grow too tall, but we're gonna start there, and if I need to put them on, like take them off and put plastic wrap instead, that's fine. It's like a fun new world for me. This is really bothering me. Conform or die parchment paper. My oven, I guess it's humid. I wouldn't call it like, I don't know, maybe I've lived in Florida too long, but this doesn't feel as humid as it might need to be, so glad these lids are on here. Oh, I need to find something for these. Okay, those are gonna rise for a while, and then we're gonna bake them, and that will be the moment where we see all the different things I did wrong, basically. All right, see you later. Now we can go buy me a croissant, right? After a short trip to the dog park and a coffee shop, we came back to the croissants in the oven, which had a nice little wobble to them. So I moved on to one of the final of the 24 steps in this process, which was removing the croissants from their proving drawer, which was the oven with the water in it, and putting them into the fridge for 20 minutes while we preheat the oven. Another thing I can do while the oven is preheating and the croissants are hanging out in the fridge, which I think is mostly just to stop it from over-proving now that we've reached the proper proof, is I can make the egg wash that goes on top of them. The bigger problem, although I have the perfect tool to mix it, which is tiny whisk, I don't have a pastry brush. So I don't really know how I'm gonna brush this on the croissants because they're supposed to be very delicate. And I'm afraid that I'm going to try a paper towel. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't have any brushes. Oh! I have a makeup brush, but it has makeup on it. I've pulled these out of the fridge, and I stopped to search around the house, and it seems our solution, the only one, paper towels. Now, perhaps you're in an Airbnb and instead of going out and doing things in the new city you're in, you think, I'd like to make croissants for 2 days. Consider this my trial and error as to whether this will replace a pastry brush for you. What do we think? This isn't as disastrous as I thought it might be. It's definitely not the like correct tool for the job, but it is a tool. Okay, what do we think?
Not as bad as I thought.
Not as bad as I thought either. Look, that's good. I'm really thinking these are just gonna like, these little tails, I'm feeling they're gonna like, whee! Like right off the top. I'm wondering if I was supposed to put them like down or something. I don't know. We have officially finished the paper towel, pastry brush, egg wash process. It looks like all these guys are ready to go in the oven. I'm just gonna check the temp really quick. 350.
350?
It's not ready.
It's not ready.
Not ready. These are 375. Now that I have had a small snack, my oven is preheated to 375, so I'm going to put these in for 20 minutes, and then we're going to rotate them in the oven for another 10 to 15. We're looking for a deeply golden color, and obviously for them to puff up a little even more. And this oven has been running like hot and fast with like the baking time rules. You forgot to take this away from Proto. So. As many things have gone wrong with this recipe, I'd like to at least bake them correctly, which means I'm gonna set a timer for once. I'm gonna do it while I'm on camera so I remember, because usually I'm like, I'll set it as soon as I'm done. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, who didn't set a timer? I'm going to set it for 15, even though it says the first one is 20, and check them, rotate them 10 to 15 after that. I'm going to check them after 15, and then we'll see if they need to be rotated, and then I'll keep an eye on them. So it might be a shorter bake time, which I'm hoping for because I'm very hungry, and whenever they turn out to be, I'm going to eat them. We have reached the rotation part of the recipe. We've also reached lunchtime because this recipe is taking so long that I got hungry. I'm rotating them early. Nobody look at me. Oh my god, I'm already getting brownie on this. These are, oh no. Now that we did the stressful thing about rotating them, I'm gonna set another timer for 10 minutes, which would bring our grand total time up to, I think 25. I might have messed with the timer a little bit and forgotten how much they were in there for. So, we're gonna check them after 5. But, these look perfect. Look, you can see the little layers. Oh no. Oh, it's so burnt. This little perfect one's so burnt on the bottom. Guys, okay, let's just look at the top. Appreciate how cute that is. What a bummer. The cutest one. Oh. The final timer just went off, so I'm going to take a look at these and see if they're ready to come out. Ooh, baby.
Wow.
Look at that. Not an unmitigated disaster, right? I mean, this one, look at those two. Wow. I don't know where to put these. These came out a little better than I anticipated, based on what I did. They are not the cutest, and clearly the oven kind of burnt the tops of these ones, and the bottoms, great. All the bottoms are burnt. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't burn me, too. So, I'm gonna get these off these trays, because then they're just gonna keep cooking on there, or burning at this point. Oh god, those are bad. Okay, not too bad. So as I was saying before, these are only slightly as terrible as I thought they were going to be. And part of that was my baking, which is a bummer. So this one got a little too heated on top and on bottom. However, I think I got some nice shape and some nice layers, right? And then this guy, so as anticipated, the top of this guy kind of just like flew off the edge. And the bottom of this one's a little bit toastier. Well, you know what they say, if you don't put 2 days into it, you don't deserve to eat croissants. Ready for the sound? I'm trying not to. It's hard, okay? Alright, well, that's not great. That's not great. That's a crescent roll. Which, like, what is a crescent roll but like a cheap croissant? Worth their extra power. So these are kind of dense, which tells me that I probably could have let them rise a little bit longer. They're not ideal, Frodo. I think butter and then the final rising time. Oh wait, no. Change the butter. I would have followed the instructions and done the night before thing like it's set to do the night before, which I think would have saved me from some of these like breakage points. And I also may never make this recipe again, so this may just be as good as the croissants ever get. I'll have to post a photo of the first ones I ever made. This is definitely an improvement on that. Well guys, we've reached the end of our journey, and I'm not really sure what to say. These took a very long time, and if I had to do the math on paying myself a livable wage on how long these took and how many I got out of it, I believe each one of these would need to be $100. Now, would you pay $100 for this beautiful croissant? Probably not. Can I get those hours back in my life? No, I can't. I did learn a paper towel trick. That's something. And, you know, maybe if you were gonna make these croissants, if you were like at the end of this video and you're seeing me holding this little baby and you're thinking, wow, that looks really good. I really wanna do that. I think if that's the way you feel, you should do it. Because if you just watched all of that and you still want to do this recipe, yeah, I think you are the market for this recipe. So, first project recipe done. This was probably a bigger project than I anticipated when I started it. And I am feeling accomplished in the sense that I did not quit when the dough was really crappy looking yesterday. It's a win.
It's a win. We're gonna eat it.
Yeah, but now I'm worried that we're gonna eat 8 croissants, not a good tummy ache.
God.